Hello?
We are good to go.
All right. All right, good evening, everybody. It is 7:07, 8/25/21, officially opening the Town of Dighton Zoning Board of Appeals regular meeting, held remotely. I'm just going to read the notice at the top of our agenda for today. This meeting will be held remotely with no physical meeting location. Those seeking to provide public input should do so using the methods listed below. Video and audio of the meeting will be aired on Comcast Local TV 9 at a later date. A live recording of the meeting will be available on the Town of Dighton YouTube channel, which can be accessed using this link, and the link is provided below. Public input may be provided using the following methods. Contact the office at keasterday@dighton-ma.gov. Please use the subject line ZBA 825-2021 public input and include your name and address for the record. You may call 508-669-6431, extension 114 during the meeting. You may leave a voicemail if necessary, or you may join the meeting at zoom.com or dial by location 646-558-8656, meeting ID 939-1182, 4424, passcode 510277. And as always, in lieu of the Pledge of Allegiance, we will just have a brief moment of silence for those who are suffering through the COVID pandemic. All right. Thanks, guys. So first things first, we're just going to confirm the next meeting date. We have, according to our calendar, September 22nd, 2021. Terry, are we going to just assume that we're just going to keep doing remote until we feel it's need to be in person, or
Well, I would say at this time, yes, because to compound the fact, we are reduced one meeting room because the children's library has moved into the conference room downstairs. So now there's we have very limited access to conference rooms, and we're doing some scrambling right now. Actually, not so much as scrambling too, because there is the option of the Old Town Hall, which, as you can imagine, with all the boards and committees, everyone is trying to vie for that place. And then there is the option to use the police station, and I think there is also talks to use the Primetime building, but they are not set up yet for cable and Zoom use. So
okay, and I'm asking this purely out of my own curiosity, because I'm not really sure how the inner workings of reserving meeting rooms go. But again, for the record, out of complete curiosity, why isn't it that if the Dighton Zoning Board has been meeting there since its inception, borderline, that we just simply have to yield it to another department? Is there did the town administration say that they have more of a need for it than we do, or I'm just curious?
I think it's just I'm not sure right now. I think it's just a scramble right now. And I'm sure in speaking with Leanne, the office assistant with the selectman's room, she can make it available for me or for the zoning board. I'm sorry.
Right.
And, but that said, if you want to have it in person, I will say at this moment in time, I have nothing for the agenda for next month. And I've received I've received no applications, and I will say if we did receive an application, we'd have to receive it next week, and I'm on vacation next week. So
right. No, that's fine. And I was going to say, just as I said before, and I'll just remind anyone who maybe, I'm not sure if Greg was I don't think Greg was there, but when we were talking about meeting in person versus Zoom, that unless we have a case before us where, there are a lot of plans, or we feel like there could be, it'll be easier for residents to come see the plans in person versus Zoom, which I can understand, maybe we should be in person for this, but meetings like this, or a clear-cut variance, or simple plans that are formatted perfectly enough to see on our screens, I don't see a need to meet in person at all. So I'm not trying to say that, we should have it over the library. I was just kind of curious as to if we were to need it over them, is is it just ours, or do we have to wait for them to say yes kind of thing? But no, I feel like with the meetings that we've been having lately, Zoom is 100% fine, obviously.
Right. And what I've been doing is right now, Leanne knows that we meet on the 4th Wednesday of every month. And she has us penciled in, and I just kind of advise her on what our agenda looks like. So like I had given her advance notice that tonight, is a pretty light agenda, and it was already determined at our special meeting that we were going to meet by Zoom anyways. So that opened up for them to have their meeting. So I'm kind of helping her out too.
Nope. That's totally fine. It was more just me wanting to know that, like, should it come down to a need where we need it, what would we do to get it, or where we go instead? But, obviously I don't foresee it happening anytime soon, but okay.
We definitely can make that. And also I have to say, we, for the planning board, I set up a meeting with the anticipation that we were going to have a large meeting for Forest Hills. And so I had set up a meeting at the middle school, and that was at the third Wednesday of the month. And unfortunately it ended up getting continued, and so nothing happened. But I had met with their IT department, and I had also met and was very particular on how I wanted it set up. And when I got there, it was fabulous. Just the way they set it up and everything. So going forward,
I wouldn't expect anything less.
A large hearing, we definitely have that option as well.
Okay. I mean, I don't think we're going to, but I just didn't want to do the kind of thing where, hey, 2 months from now, we get a 40B that's knocking on our door, and it's like, oh my God, we don't have a meeting space. You know what I mean?
Correct. Well, the middle school will be fabulous with that, because the way that they were able to get us in for Zoom, they were able to get us up. I mean, it was just great the way they, I set up. Even Cable was very impressed. So for the future, we have a plan.
Awesome. That is all that I care about.
Okay.
Alrighty. So that being said, we'll go right into the first agenda line for today, which is to, I'm sorry. So the confirmation of the September 22nd, that does work for everybody, correct?
Jonathan, yes.
And Greg, I assume you too?
Greg, you're on mute.
Oh, Greg.
Sorry about that. Yes, Zach, Red Wolf.
All right, and I assume Peter Karen is good as well.
Yeah, that works good.
All right. So now we can go into the next item line to review, discuss, and act Stonegate Landing LLC comprehensive permit notice of project change request. So Carrie, do you just want to loop everybody in on the updates we've had to that?
Sure.
Unless the applicant is here. I don't think they are, right?
No, they are not here. I can read their letter of request into record.
Sure.
So Paul Cusson of Delphic Associates writes, Dear Chairman, on August 24th of 2021, we are writing on behalf of our client, Stonegate Landing LLC, Richard Fedoroff. We sent a request to the ZBA for a notice of project change dated July 20th, 2021 for development known as Stonegate Landing. Due to recent developments with the project, we are hereby withdrawing our request for the project change. We appreciate your time and understanding on this matter. So in that matter, Attorney Marguerite Mitchell has responded to that. She had spoken to Paul Cusson, and apparently the new owners of the 3 lots in question has agreed to transfer the lots back to Stonegate Landing. And then once that transfer is complete and the deeds are recorded at the Registry of Deeds, Stonegate Landing will reapply for a building permit in the name of Stonegate Landing, and then making the need for the modification request unnecessary. Attorney Marguerite has spoken with the building commissioner, who said he's agreeable to processing the new building permit application once he receives them in the name of Stonegate Landing. And a copy of the recorded deeds for the lots are also submitted. So once all the proper deeds and recordings are done, and received by all the offices and the attorney. Everything will be all set. So she agrees with the withdrawal, and she agrees with the transfer back of the lots on that. So
Okay.
she does not plan to be present tonight because of that, just to save.
Right. All right. And so I assume there's no need for, do we have to vote to accept the withdrawal, or do we just, or do we
gonna make a
all set
motion.
on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then I will just see if there's a motion to accept the withdrawal for the Stonegate Landing comprehensive permit notice of change request.
I second it.
Jonathan, I will.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I second the motion.
Any discussion?
I don't think we need
All
to
in-
do anything. This is just Jonathan, I was going to say. I don't think we need to do anything else and put any parameters or condition in it because it's been withdrawn.
Correct.
Oh, we just
Right,
need to make a
right.
motion to accept their withdrawal.
We're gonna accept
Yeah.
that
So
was
Dad or John, or Greg, sorry, I'm not sure if you guys are hearing me, but I was just seeing if there was a motion. I wasn't the one making the motion.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Greg made the motion already and Peter seconded.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear Greg. That was why. Okay.
I did not make a
So,
motion. If you'd like me to make a
thought-
motion, Mr. Chairman,
Okay,
I will.
I thought someone did. I'm sorry. Your voices sound very
Greg,
similar over there.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we vote to accept the withdrawal of the modification request from Stonegate Landing LLC.
I second that motion.
there we go.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jonathan.
Hi, Greg Logan.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Zach. All righty. Agenda item B, review, discuss, and act variance decision, Bristol County Agricultural High School, 135 Center Street, map 5, lot 79, case 221. All right. So, Carrie, what do we have for this? Just to simply
So Marguerite drafted the variance decision for Bristol County Agricultural, the denial of the electronic sign.
Yep.
Before I reviewed it, and there was just one typographical edit to be done, and Marguerite resubmitted prior to me sending it off to you. And then that was about it. Everything else looked in order on my end. I don't know
Okay.
if The rest of you have reviewed it, but everything looked in order on my end.
The board members, was there anything that you guys noticed on it?
No, I didn't see the Marguerite's written decision.
I had sent that, it was under a separate cover. I just
Oh,
forwarded.
that's probably why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
send it to you
Okay.
again if you'd like.
No, it's okay.
So do we need to sign off on this?
Yes,
Come
once
in
you
at some
vote
point
to,
and sign off
once
on
you
this.
vote to, once you vote to approve the decision, then you can come in and sign it.
So Carrie, because I ended up not being a voting member, you don't need me to come in tomorrow and sign it, correct?
No, the voting members are Peter Karen, Jonathan Gray, and Susan Gray Pritchard.
You mean Jonathan Gale?
I'm sorry.
Gail.
Give me, Jonathan Gale.
Oh, that's
okay.
funny.
I know.
For the record, I'm not sure if anybody on the board would know. So this is a quick little sidebar, unless you guys are on Facebook and are friends with John. But him and his wife Danielle are having a baby.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Heard that. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
Cool.
this I would share that. So okay. So that being said, I would just like to see. Is there a motion on the floor to accept the written decision for the variance for Bristol County Savings Bank, Bristol County Agricultural High School?
Since I didn't see it, I don't want to make the motion.
Okay.
I guess we have to, I mean, I know how I voted, and I voted in the negative. I did not agree with the other two. But either way, we have to accept this decision and sign off on it somehow.
Correct.
Mhm.
So, you know, I'm going to stand. Obviously, I can't change it. I'm not going to. But as we need a motion. This is Jonathan. I will make a motion that we accept the decision of the zoning board with regard to the signage for the agricultural high school.
Yeah, now if
Is there
anybody
a se-
to second that, then that would be approved. If no one seconds it, Jonathan, that's how that falls in.
Okay.
So is the motion on the floor?
Right, and I second the motion.
Second the motion to deny or approve?
No, we're not voting to deny or approve. We already voted that.
Oh, for the, I am sorry, you're right, okay, yep.
We're
it-
voting
is it-
to
is it
accept.
The written
It's
We're
to
voting
decision.
to
On
accept
file.
the decision as
The
written.
written decision that
Right.
Marguerite did. Yeah,
Right.
I got it.
Right.
So I second the motion to approve the decision as written.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. That being said, going on to the next thing, review, discuss, and act surplus equipment disposal, 1 HP Color LaserJet Pro MFP M477FNW. That sounds very fancy. I'm not sure if it is, but Carrie, what do you got on tap for this?
All right, so I submitted a memo to the board dated August 16th. The zoning board of appeals, our office is in receipt of a new copier. It's a multifunction copier, scanner, fax. It's the one that we're leasing. It's actually the town hall is leasing it for the lower level, so it's not coming out of our budget. It's coming out of the public buildings budget. So since we received it, it's right here. Thing's fantastic. It was like Christmas Day for me.
Oh
So
yeah, I'm
we
sure.
are-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. So as such, we can now dispose of the multifunction that was in the zoning board desk over on the other side, which was part of the reason why we got this one, because we had 3 copier multifunction copier
Gotcha.
in one office. It was crazy. So as such, I need a motion to dispose for surplus equipment. What happens is a motion, if you agree to the motion, I let the selectmen know, they accept it as surplus equipment, and then it goes off for auction.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to ask. So I've never faced this yet as a
Yeah,
chairman or as a
everywhere.
member of the board for that matter. So I was like, we have to accept of getting rid of something, vote to get rid of something. But and
Yeah,
then my other question was just going to be, is it thrown away? Is it donated? But you answered that question. I was just curious as to what we do with it next. So
no, it gets, so it gets put into a pile with a whole bunch of other stuff, and then every year the Taunton, I think we had like our first one in many years, either a year or 2 ago. Maybe
okay.
a year and a half ago, we had a large auction to auction off a whole bunch of office stuff.
Yeah, there was a big one done in 2020. That was the first year it was done in a
That's
long
what it
time.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
I did hear a doorbell. Did someone just come into the meeting?
yeah, I'm wondering if maybe that's Susan. So not sure who that is, but so in any event, yeah,
This
so
is
we have a
Jonathan.
new.
This is
we have a
Jonathan.
new scanner. I'm sorry.
I was going to make a motion. That's all. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
This is Jonathan.
Yep.
I'm going to make a motion that we take the copier we are no longer in need of or using that has been earmarked for surplus. I'm not going to repeat that number because I don't remember it.
That's
And then
fine.
we offer that copier to the Board of Selectmen to dispose of through surplus process and auction.
All right. Is there a second?
I
Greg
second it.
Colgan- I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
Greg, you're too slow tonight.
I thought I was talking, I was muted the whole time.
I know. That's what, to be fair, Greg, that's what usually happens. You're not slow. You just think you're talking, but you're not.
Yeah, and I look up in the corner and I'm still red muted. I'm like, oh, that ain't working. So,
That's funny.
It's part of
Okay.
that thing when you're over 50, Greg.
yeah, I know, the check engine light came on. I gotta get that relooked at.
All right. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Jonathan, I.
Greg Logan, aye.
All right.
Greg Logan, aye. Did it again.
Just in case, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next thing, correspondence. Carrie, do we have any written correspondence today?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay. And usually I think the answer is no, but just in case that doorbell was someone signing on to talk, is there any public input for tonight? No?
Sound like it. W,
Oh,
a lot of
We do have someone on here, but they are muted.
They are muted. If
Yeah,
you unmute,
is it Susan?
join in.
It's Wiley. It is.
Who's it? I'm sorry?
It's Violetta iPhone.
But the phone is muted, so they
yeah.
they can't communicate with us.
So either it's a username that no one recognizes, or someone dialed the wrong meeting ID passcode, or well, I
Not
guess
sure.
you'd have to
Or
dial.
maybe they're just,
You have to dial.
oh, here we go.
They're
Hello?
not muted now.
Hi.
Hello?
Hello? Go
Hello.
ahead, and I'm muted.
Hi, it's actually Susan Pritchard. I'm
Oh.
coming back from
Oh.
Dana-Farber Hospital
Oh,
with the patient, and she logged on with her phone, so it's been kind of interesting trying to get into the meeting.
Okay, you okay now?
Yes,
Yes,
I'm
okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, sorry.
Susan.
Hi. We got quite
Well-
lost, so that was the whole thing.
That's fine. The good news and bad news. The bad news is that you missed most of the meeting. The good news is that there wasn't much to miss in terms of like
That's for sure.
So-
Yeah.
Okay, it's like we just couldn't like log in, and I couldn't. It's nothing, and nothing was going right, and then we kept getting lost. So then we had to keep going back to the GPS thing. So it was interesting.
we figured something was up. We figured something was up because when Carrie tried to call you, she said it went right to voicemail. So I thought, oh, maybe she's like trying to sign on as you're calling her. So I had a
Yes.
feeling there was something going on.
Yes, between the two phones and the car, trying to get it on, it was it wasn't working. So I apologize for all that.
No
No
need to be sorry.
It's the effort that counts. At least you're still with us.
Yes,
It is probably the biggest and maybe only flaw to the Zoom meetings is stuff like that. So
Yeah. So, but okay. So I guess you're saying I didn't miss too much tonight.
You
No.
didn't. I guess the only thing that was that involved you, the board just had to accept the written decision of the denial for the Bristol the sign for the school. So that was the only thing that I guess that we discussed that, and then the next meeting date being September 22nd on Zoom. So I guess the most important thing would be to see if that worked for you, or is that not good?
Yeah. What was the date again?
September 22nd.
22nd. I believe that should be okay. Yes. That was one of the reasons that I was thinking. I knew that was supposed to be discussed tonight, or they're not happy with our decision, apparently.
No, they're not. And I won't go into too much in case it turns into any kind of legal action. Which but in a nutshell, they did go to the town administrator, and I guess they weren't happy with the decision. I'm sorry. At first, I thought it was just because they weren't happy with the decision, but Carrie, you can stop me or correct me if I'm wrong, but it was, I guess, the fact that, again, I wasn't at this meeting, but they felt like they didn't have the chance to be heard, which I know is not is not the case. I mean, I think
Right.
from what Carrie told me, it seems like that, it's one of those things where we let the applicant talk and present their side, and, to see if there's anything new, which there wasn't apparently. And then the
Right.
board decided to talk and discuss the case. And then I guess the applicant maybe felt like they should get to talk again, which obviously they can't do if you guys close the public input, which at that point you should and you had to. And it's one of those things where if we let the applicant and board go back and forth every time, meetings would literally never end, because it's like, okay, after you go, can I go? It's like, and like
Right.
Carrie told me on the phone, it would be one thing if the applicant said, well, we do have new information that you guys aren't willing to hear, but there was nothing new. There was nothing new that they were going to say or bring forth that was going to change anyone's opinions. I mean, maybe the board members or a board member, whoever, if it is anyone that did feel differently, it wasn't because the resident would have told them something different. So
Right.
I guess that was what I guess they were. I don't want to use the word complaining, but they brought to the town administrator. Now, I don't know, maybe when they left that meeting with the town administrator, they understood and everything was okay, and they understand and they were upset, but at least they understood. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to decide to file an appeal. I have there's no way of knowing that until when and if it does. But Carrie, I assume there were no more discussions after you and I talked about it, correct?
I haven't heard anything more.
Right. Yeah, no. I mean, again, it's one of those things where when Carrie and I were talking about it, and then going to the town administrator, at first it's kind of like, well, why? The board didn't do any unjust actions or anything. But if you think about it, I'm completely unintentionally downplaying what the town administrator does, but it's almost like the face of the town in terms of the customer service desk. So they do field all those kind of things. And what does the customer service desk do? They listen to the customer, whether they think they're right or not. So, I think that the applicant had every right to go to the town administrator, and I assume it was handled the way it should. So, again, I'm not sure if the applicant got an answer that they wanted when all was said and done, but,
Geez, I thought that we actually listened to the full extent of what they wanted to say to us. And,
yes, I was not there, but I don't doubt that. Now, anyone who was there, I haven't talked to you guys, obviously, because I can't talk to you guys individually about meetings. But from what Carrie told me, from those of you who were there that night, how do you feel like that went? I mean, I guess if it was a concern that was brought to the town administrator, we should discuss it as a board and make sure that, God forbid, we aren't following any kind of procedures. How do you guys, as members, felt like the board ran that night in terms of listening to the applicant?
I mean, this is.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go first. Go ahead, Susan.
I feel that it was 100%. We listened to everything they had to say as far as their, so to say, argument for it. And that plus more, because they actually were veering off to other subject matters because everything was said that could be said concerning what they would like.
Just out of curiosity, what were some of the other subject matters? I mean, I'm not saying that they were relevant. I'm just what were they trying to say? Like, what else were they getting into that wasn't?
Well, they mentioned, at least twice, possibly 3 times, about the dignitaries that they've had visit there, and if about, again, if they want to say it once, but it was brought up a couple of times about, if they want it, if the town wants to use a sign for something other than, for something to advertise something or say something that the town is having. But it really, neither of those things, and especially the dignitaries, really, to me, had a bearing on them getting the sign or not.
I think
right.
This is Jonathan, and obviously, we all know which way I voted.
Right.
But I think, Susan, in that context, because we hear, we have different people coming in front of us doing different types of things and making different arguments about different things. And I don't think that was an inappropriate conversation for them to have at all. I think what they were trying to say from their perspective is, if we go with the old system, It takes us a long time, and it's very complex to change it with ladders, et cetera, et cetera. But this way, with the automated system, if we have special events or we have a dignitary, we can put a welcome Jonathan or a welcome Greg or this or that on there, and then we can go right back to what it was and so forth. I saw that more as an attempt to explain what they were attempting to accomplish or to do. And from their perspective, I think their perspective, and I'm reading into it, obviously, is, you know, there was over $100 million spent on this project, and you guys are arguing over whether we can have a sign or not. And that's to some extent, from their perspective, I think the way they're looking at, or we're looking at this. We know what we thought, we know how we voted, but I think they were justified in explaining that part of it as part of the process.
Oh
Yeah.
and
Jonathan, this is Greg Logan. They came in front of us without any illumination. They didn't even have their stuff together for us to even give them any kind of sexual vote on that matter. Illumination, that's something they should have had together, especially with the kind of people they had there, the architects, engineers. And we don't allow that. And I think we're just going to set up a precedent. If we allow that kind of stuff to happen, if they want it to be changed, it needs to go to town administrator. Town administrator puts it on the board, puts it out on a special town meeting, they change it. We've knocked down other places, you know.
And Greg, I totally agree with you. They weren't fully prepared, even at between the first and the second meeting. I know you weren't at the first one, Greg, but between the first and the second, they had an opportunity to prepare themselves more for presentation at the second one. That I will entirely agree with you about. You know, my vote was not related necessarily to illumination and so forth. It was for other types of reasons that I felt, and I think I explained that during the conversation in the minutes. But you're absolutely right. They could have come more prepared. You know, when you have engineers and you have architects there, they need to be able to answer the questions that you were specifically asking, Greg, which were very fair.
And then the other thing, Jonathan, that was tough with that particular case too, was the abutters were against it. We don't, as voting members, we don't live there, you know, and this person has this light illuminating, and then if they could talk more about illumination. I think we did change the bylaw for size already once in the last town meeting. Got increased from our old bylaws, but to this bylaw. But we just went through this with other places. This was just going to open up a can of worms for the zoning board. I mean, I'm not opposed to changing things, but I'm not the people. I don't think this board has the right to do that for the most sake. I think the townspeople should ask on that.
We don't, and in fact, that's one thing that Carrie and I talked about. We talked a lot about it on the phone. I was curious to see how it went, and that's one thing that I said to her too. And and the board, obviously, you guys are echoing that tonight. Where Greg, like you said, oh well, the board's not in the position. You're right. Literally, the board is not. We cannot change the law. So, and that's one thing that Carrie and I said was that to each other afterwards was that. I think you're right. Maybe it is time to look at that law. I'm saying that hypothetically, but then, you know, the whole thing is, why are we arguing over can we have a sign or not? Well, there is no argument. By law, you can't have it, so there's no argument to be had. The argument, if the applicant wants to make one, is should that be the law? Which that case, there are avenues to take if you feel like that should be changed. And as American citizens, we absolutely have that right to do that. So it's almost like, you know. It's almost like the law is one way. They don't like it. They go before people who can possibly alleviate it. They can't. And then they get mad at the people who won't alleviate it. It's like, well, it's the law to be, go back to the start. If you don't like the law in the first place, that's what needs to be changed, possibly.
And Zach, I think that's a fair way to look at it because I think, I really do. And I think that the question we might have to start asking ourselves as a board is, do we want to look at some of the things that are here, specifically within the town, not necessarily state guideline, but some of the town guidelines, and perhaps look at requesting some bylaw changes and putting it in front of the town at town meeting, because some of the things and procedures that we have, and it may be related to what we just voted on, and it could be other issues too, may be so old or somewhat outdated that we need to look at certain ways. As much as we want to keep the old character, we also need to keep up with the times. So maybe we need to look at some changes to propose to town meetings sometime in the future. And that's something I think it would be a separate discussion, obviously not for tonight, but I really do think that there are some things that we can look at. This may be one of those areas.
Jonathan, though, as a board, I think it has to go. You have to have so many signatures to put something on a special town meeting.
That's the planning board's responsibility.
Exactly.
They're the ones who, and we just grant variances or special permits as the planning board sees fit. It's not for the zoning board to
Right.
form a committee and
So
make these
Peter,
suggestions.
is the zoning board allowed to make a recommendation to the planning board that we want to change a certain?
Anybody can make a recommendation, absolutely.
So maybe that's for certain things in the future. You know, I know we don't want to go ahead and change the world. We're not about that. But if there are certain things that maybe need a little bit of tweaking and modification, maybe that's something we should consider in the future as a way of accommodating future purposes. We may not be able to change the past, but we can look at certain things for the future.
I also
make
think
recommendations.
that, just for the record too, any private citizen can do that at any time. So it's one of those things where, you know, if it's something that is or isn't discussed amongst the board, and, you know, if, you know, I unless we were 100%, as in every member 100% okay with it, I would not want to present anything before the planning board as a united front.
Oh, no,
So
I agree.
Right.
If one
I'm
person
not,
on-
truthfully, I'm not in favor of that because I just feel that, well, first, I just want to clarify, as far as I do agree, as far as that their preparation goes, because I actually asked a couple questions the first meeting and they didn't have, they said, we don't know that. We don't, and they were asked. Go ahead, Zach.
No, I was just gonna ask you. I didn't remember what you asked, and because I wasn't at the second meeting, I was not sure what was or wasn't brought up that you guys wanted to hear. What was some of the things that you guys were asking for that they did not supply?
Well, I believe the size where they were not sure of the first meeting. And as far as what if they didn't get that, what was their alternative that they had in mind?
I remember that.
They didn't have that. So I felt that was fairly significant. And as far as the reason I say the thing about the dignitaries, yes, I do agree that was part of their argument, and that's an important thing to them. What I was more saying is, as far as I felt we gave them adequate time and more for them to present their case, because they not only presented it once, they were repeating it 2 and 3 times. That's what I meant. I wasn't against them using that as an argument. I was saying they were repeating, which we all do that, but I'm just saying that they were, you know, on the 2 and 3 times around about the same argument. That was what I was saying.
As the chair, which is, you know, obviously it's, you know, my job to make sure that, you know, we're following all policy and procedures and doing the best that we can. That's simply just why I asked you guys. I just wanted to see, you know, because the time this was brought to their attention, I want to play devil's advocate here. So that's just why I wanted to ask you guys and see, if you guys felt like you guys, nothing about your decision, nothing about how or why you voted, but in terms of, did you feel like that you guys gave the applicant the time that they felt like they deserved? But obviously you guys did, and I'm not at all suggesting you guys didn't. It was more just, I just wanted to see how you guys felt the night went.
Yeah.
This is Jonathan, and again, remember, I had to leave early because I had a medical situation, you know, with a granddaughter. So I didn't hear the. I remember I told you how I felt for my vote, so that, you know, my vote when the votes were going to be put together, I made it clear why I thought I did and what I thought I did. The only thing that I think, and I think I said this actually, was because there were some questions that weren't being able to be answered yet, and that included, you know, Greg had very fair questions, you know, that he was asking about the lighting and, you know, how bright is it going to be and the illumination and how many illuminations and so forth. If it, you know, and I think I said this at the time. If we're going to vote on it tonight, I said how I was going to vote. But on the other hand, I think it should have been continued further to give them an opportunity to at least come back with that. I don't know if that would have changed my vote or not. I'm not going to speculate. I can't do that. But I think we should have potentially given them that other opportunity, only because there are situations where we've had to continue things a few times before for more information, and we've gotten more information. And I think this is a situation that represented a very, very big, regardless of how we voted, it represents a very big decision for them to determine whether or not it's something that they want to appeal or not, and something which you know, we feel strongly about. So in that respect, I think we should have by due diligence, we give them the opportunity to throw all the cards out there And then the final decision was made. The final decision was made regardless. You know, I'm not saying that we had to go further. We didn't. And the vote of the board was to not go further.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I wasn't there for that, obviously, but I guess it's also one of those things, kind of like when I started off this whole discussion where, you know, it's also too, if that was the case, again, no case would ever end. It'd be like, okay, well, how about now? And it's kind of like, at what point do you say, guys, we told you what we wanted, and, you know, we can't say, okay, well, how about we give you 2 more pieces of our advice and then you do it again? Cases would never, literally, they would never end. So, and I felt like when one, I'm not saying them, but when anybody hires any type of, you know, person to represent them or has plans designed, you know, at that point you kind of have to say, I hope by now you guys did everything you could and spent the money you can to get your resources. You know, at that point you got to kind of say, all right, it's your wings are clipped. It's time for you guys to run with what you have, and if it works, great. If not, well, then I'm sorry.
And Zach, I don't disagree. That's a point where, you know, as I said, you know, I know you weren't there the second night, and I made my thoughts known, you know, in terms of how I felt and why I felt the way I did. But you're right. At some point, you've got to have a cutoff. There's no way around that. And, you know, if the experts can't provide the answers that are being asked, you know, it's up to the experts to also say we need more time or we need to read this. And I don't know if that ever even occurred.
No, it never did.
Right. Who knows? All right, Dad, do you have any feedback on how you felt like the night went, or do you pretty much just echo what was said?
Well, when it comes to giving them more time, you have to look at each meeting, and obviously if they don't come prepared the first time, you don't give them a third and fourth time. You tell them what you need, and they're supposed to come prepared. But they were going into the habit of repeating themselves. And I think what it boils down to is she wasn't happy with the decision. She felt like it wasn't a big deal. And I think that's why she went to the town administrator, because all she was doing was repeating what she had said at the first meeting. There wasn't nothing really new. And if going forward, when we offer somebody for a continuance, I think we got to make it clear that, look, we're giving you a continuance, but come prepared next time, or come prepared with this information, because you're not necessarily going to get a third continuance.
Right.
Point well taken.
All right. Is there anything else, anything else unrelated that the board has to share, or Carrie, if you got anything you want to bring up?
No, nothing else.
So I guess before we adjourn, so if nothing comes before the board in terms of an application, the only thing that we would have to do would be to approve the meeting minutes from tonight, which obviously can wait for the next meeting. So do you want to just contact us in the next week or so? And then if there's nothing on the agenda, should we just not meet, or do you think we should meet anyway? Or what do you think we should do?
Well, what I can do is I can keep you apprised of what comes in, if anything comes in, and then let you make the determination. If you want to do it that
as long as and because it's Zoom and not a meeting space, as long as we post it, you know, with enough time, you know, if something comes across your desk, obviously not a new case, but something that's worth discussing, if that comes across your case 48 hours ahead of time and we think we need to do it, then we can do it, obviously. So
right, and certainly meeting minutes can wait until the next meeting.
Yeah, right.
We do need to have the approval of the meeting minutes before you adjourn, just FYI. We do need to.
Right, and
okay.
And the members who voted on, not voted, the members of the case that needs to be signed. Do you have it yet, Carrie? The hard copy for them to come down tomorrow?
I do have the hard copy, so they can either come down tomorrow, and I'll be here 7:30 to 4:30. I am on vacation next week, so if you can't come in tomorrow, I can leave them with the town clerk, and you can just see the town clerk, and I'll give them specific instructions on what needs to be done. And
I know I can't come tomorrow, Carrie. I won't be able to come until Monday, so I'll go see the clerk on Monday.
Perfect. I'll let them know.
All right.
Barry, I will
Um,
try to be there. I have a meeting at Old Town Hall at 2:30, so I'll try to get there before or
Okay.
after.
Perfect. Perfect. And Susan, that goes for you too. You're gonna need to come in and sign the
Okay,
decision. So if you can't
Okay.
come in tomorrow, I'll leave it with the town clerk so you can come in sometime next week. Because we
Okay,
need to get
excellent.
that time stamped in for the 20-day appeal period, so.
okay. All right, Carrie. All righty.
All right.
All right. So that being said, before we adjourn, I just gotta pull up the tab real quick. We just need to, we can probably do this under one vote to approve the meeting minutes for July 28th, 2021, August 12th, 2021 regular meeting, and August 12th, 2021 executive session. I'm good on them. Does any of the other applicants have any comments on the minutes, or are they good to go for all you guys?
Greg
I'm
Logan,
good.
I'm
I'm
good.
good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Susan Pritchard.
All right. So that being said, is there a motion on the floor to accept those three meeting minutes?
This is Jonathan. I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of July 28 and August 12, as well as the executive session meeting minutes from August 12.
Is there a second?
Greg Logan, I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All of those in favor?
Aye.
Jonathan,
Aye.
aye.
Greg Logan, aye.
Susan Pritchard, aye.
All right, we're all set. All right, guys, if that is it, is there a motion on the floor to adjourn?
Chairman Greg Logan, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Jonathan Gale,
Susan Pritchard.
second.
Any discussion? All of those in favor?
Aye.
Jonathan, aye. Aye.
All right, guys, good night, everybody. See you later.
Night, everyone.
Have a
Thank
good
you, everyone.
evening.
Have a great week.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.